Let's all rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we've got some visitors. Ross, we'd like to talk about the fiber to
Sure.
the wait a minute, to the Diamond Building. We do have a, oh, I thought you
No,
were.
I just saying hi to him.
We do have a definite thing. We've got the prices to go into the,
How you doing, bud?
from the courthouse to there. And we're also going to do the,
PRI to SIP upgrade, basically, yeah.
yeah, you might explain that a little bit.
So we're upgrading to a digital phone system, or a digital phone trunk, because Frontier is phasing out the copper lines. So the conversion to the digital trunk is actually gonna save us about half on our phone bill every month. And it'll give us a lot more flexibility. With a PRI, if you need extra lines, you gotta buy a second PRI, which is another bundle of like 23 lines. And that added expense. With a SIP trunk, if you need more, you just buy them one at a time. And if we don't need that many, we can trim it back down. So, I had them quote us one that's exactly the same as the PRI. We'll do an investigation on our current usage to see if we need the 23. If we don't, we can trim it down and maybe save a little more money, but we'll see.
But the one we want to talk about is the one that's a long-term
Yes.
commitment,
The
but it's going to offer us a lot more flexibility in the future,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Our current digital phone system is a proprietary NEC phone system, requires on-premise hardware, and it's, like I said, proprietary to NEC. So the expense is handsets, and then there's like a server, basically, in each building that handles all of the directing phone calls and the lines and all that kind of stuff. That has been the way that phone systems have been done since the 90s, and it's worked okay. The problem is that NEC typically dead ends the technology, so you run into that, oh, it's time to upgrade and we're gonna have to replace absolutely everything. We're at that point. Our system's doing everything that it needs to do, so I'm not worried about the functionality side of it, but expandability, flexibility, and future-proofing is kind of what I'm looking at. So along with the SIPs upgrade, I asked them to give us a quote for voice over IP lines, which basically is a digital subscription line. Each handset, if you need to move offices, you literally unplug the handset, move it to your new office, plug it in, and off you go. If we run into another COVID situation where people need to work from home, we could actually authorize the phones to go to a home as long as they have broadband internet. It will connect, they will have their extension. So everything follows you. It does not require any on-premise equipment, so the server box hanging on the wall no longer necessary. The phones, the only real gotcha with this is that it is a monthly subscription-based phone system. So right now we own our phone system. So we paid it off. It was a 5-year deal, and we own all the hardware, all the handsets, and everything. If we need more or we need more work done, it's an as-needed basis. With a digital phone system, we're going to need to get new handsets, and then we're going to be incurring the additional monthly expenses. So with the savings we're seeing from the SIPs transition, we're going to see an addition of about $1,600 a month.
The 16 minus the 500 percent.
Minus the difference for our savings, which is about half.
How does that
and-
affect us out at the new place and the jail?
Right.
Or moving 911?
So I don't know about
I mean
911.
the phone
how that's
system.
tying into it. In addition, it will allow us to replace or get rid of the legacy phone systems, the copper phone line at like airport, the animal shelter, things like that. As long as they have an internet connection, we can add them to the system so that then they are just an extension. Right now, everybody's separate. Everybody's paying their own bill. They still have 3 lines that they're paying for, holding on to at the health department, just because we had issues getting our current system to connect reliably. That seems to have been ironed out over the last couple of years, so they haven't had any major issues short of power outages. So this would allow all of those other legacy copper lines to go, which would save us even more money potentially. So it could be offset by about half fairly easily. But and like I said, it is a continuing monthly expense. So the flexibility is immeasurable. I mean, like I said, if we need to move from the current annex to the Diamond Brothers building, when we get to that point, I would literally just unplug phones, put them on the desk and plug them in over there, and everybody's good to go. As it is, what I'm staring down the barrel of is trying to figure out what the timeline is to decommission the current annex and fire up the new annex, because it would require one of the server boxes hanging on the wall. And I don't think we really want to foot the bill for another one of those. So
if Don stays where he's at for the time
then
being,
we're gonna have trouble. But with the digital phone system, the hosted phone system, it wouldn't be a problem.
so we need to discuss that. Think about that as far as, because it is approximately $1,100 a month commitment for the future. Maybe less, but we know it's gonna be about.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to go through and look at all the current things that we're paying for that it would replace.
When did they put the last system in,
I
roughly?
think it was 13, 14. Like I said,
So you're saying that you put that in then, and it's pretty much obsolete, getting to be near the end.
it's
of
getting to the point, we
obsolete.
just had a software update on it, and so support is still there, but NEC tends to roll their support for systems out every 10 years or so. The local phone guys will still support it because they know it, but the official NEC support, if we need parts and pieces, it's gonna get harder. We're gonna end up shopping on eBay for parts, or handsets, or whatever that's compatible. So, phone systems are always kind of that last.
How much will it eliminate us doing out at the jail? Is this a?
The only thing you're gonna need is handsets and additional monthly,
And Wi-Fi out there, or internet?
well, yeah, and as long
And
as you've
you're
got
gonna have it
broadband, yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, we'll have broadband, so that's not an issue. And that's the nice thing is, expand or contract all you like, it's just another handset. The other nice thing is the handsets for a voice over IP system are exponentially cheaper than an NEC proprietary system. Right now, if we need a new handset, I call our phone vendor, and either they have one on hand or they've got to go find one, but it's usually between $150 to $250. That's just for the handset. Then they've got to do all the programming and all the labor to get all that working. With a voice over IP system, we can buy the handset for $6.
The handset, if you had one right there, if we had a question of the animal shelter, we could pick up and call them.
Yes. Yeah, because they would just be an extension.
Yep.
You dial
Or
the
we could
three-digit
transfer
extension
a
here.
line.
Yep.
If we have somebody in the hole, we could tell them that.
Yep. And that is the other thing with the hosted system. It provides maybe a friendlier user interface to do conferencing and all that kind of stuff. The handsets are more digital, so they got the touch screens as well as the regular buttons and things. So the new systems are a little cryptic. You got to know like 3-digit codes and what menu you're going through, and I don't know, they're not super friendly.
Does the animal shelter have internet?
Yes. Yeah,
How
right.
What do they have?
They're actually pulling off of ESDA's Wi-Fi access point from Midwest First.
And the airport.
Airport is also using Midwest First, so as long as their connections are stable, it wouldn't be an issue.
Are their connections stable?
As far as I know, I mean, I don't think that Andrea spends a ton of time in the office. She's usually running, so, and I haven't had any questions or complaints from the airport, so. I know it's a little slower than, middle of downtown just because you're using a wireless ISP, but it does what they need it to do.
So it's $1,100 a month plus whatever all the equipment costs.
No, the equipment cost is actually wrapped in. That $6 is in addition to, I think each line is about $16 a month, and then there's the $6 fee for the phone itself. So.
And you figured it at what, 76?
Something like that, yeah. I just looked at our current phone list and ballparked it and said, give us a quote for that, and that's what it ended up being. If we expand or contract that, that's, but that was every extension at the health department, highway department, jail, you know, all the main buildings, courthouse, annex.
And it'll be, yeah.
That's not 911?
No.
No, when I said, I
Yeah.
just meant the phones, the landlines.
Yeah, I mean, for instance, 911 has their own phone system, so that's kind of a separate critter. They do have access to lines that are tied to our main system, but that's like the general jail line that they answer. So those phones would change, but the 911 system would still be doing their own thing.
So currently, the brains is all at the jail, the generator's at the jail.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes out here, if that eventually happens,
Yeah,
how's
that's-
everything gonna work?
Exactly. That's
out there?
and that's what I've been kind of looking at, and because we're decentralizing, which in the long run is probably a good thing, you know, not having all that reliance. The interconnectivity is solid, but right now we have the PRI line is coming into the jail. If we eliminate the jail, obviously that eliminates that, and we would have to shuffle it over to the courthouse or to the annex or whatever we're doing with that. And you're right, if we move it all the way out here to the edge of town, then suddenly we're relying on the stability of the connection from where the new jail is to downtown, and that long of a run seems kind of, why would we take the chance on that? So why wouldn't we have the main trunk down there and backhaul it for the few lines that are gonna be at the jail?
Okay, so currently, like the camera system, security system at the courthouse and the annex and all
Yep.
that,
That's all at the jail.
it's all at the jail, they monitor it.
Yep.
So if we're out here, can we still be able to rely on them monitoring everything that's happening uptown? That,
It
because there's
it
nobody,
depends-
there's
depends
nobody else to
on-
monitor.
Right, it depends on the camera system that ultimately you guys decide to go with out here, whether or not the systems are compatible and what kind of bandwidth we're talking. Because when you're streaming video, you're talking streaming like multiple Netflix equivalencies across that line. It's probably not going to be as reasonable. I've been talking to several camera vendors that have gone to like a cloud-based, mainly because of our storage situation. They're all offering unlimited storage. Now, the price per camera is fairly high, but I've seen the quality of their cameras, I've seen what they can do. It's really impressive, but I'm sure that's a discussion with, was it Core that's handling all the jail stuff? So, I can interface with them about that, but if we were to convert downtown to something like that, then that would give us a little more flexibility, and it would be cloud-based, so there would be a web interface, and you could monitor it from wherever.
Well, in our discussions, you know, we were talking about extra expenses on like the radio systems and the security systems. You know, they said, well, maybe we can just move everything from there to here, but it sounds like that's not gonna be able to happen. We're gonna have to have a new system.
Well, you could move the full camera system. If I were to do it, in my opinion, I would take the current camera system that's at the jail and try and shoehorn it into the courthouse or put it at the new annex, and keep that camera system just downtown, and then look at a new system for the jail. Just because there have been improvements in technology, and they need more storage. For
So if you keep the current system that they've got in place downtown, you can have it so it could be monitored out here.
I'm not sure. That would be a discussion
Well,
with the guys who installed
if
it.
not, there won't be anybody to monitor it.
Right.
Right. And I guess that's the question is, I mean, with the jail being out on this edge of town, do they need to be 100% monitoring every camera on every angle, and, you know, there's a lot of planning that goes into that.
Well, I think so.
Because we
We
got
gotta have someone monitor.
we've got
Yeah,
If
courthouse
no one's
security.
monitored,
We were talking the jail.
no, I'm talking about it.
no,
at the
okay.
courthouse.
Okay.
So, you know, we've got courthouse security on court days. Those seem to be the hot days,
Right,
potentially.
right.
So, you know,
That's not what we're talking about
Right.
though.
Okay.
I mean, under the current system,
yeah.
we still got the problem. Well, the new system, what is it called? Not SIPs, the expansion, the $1,100 a month.
That's for phones.
That's for phones.
That's just for
Okay.
phones.
Then back up one to the second one. The SIP system, it's
Mhm.
all,
That's not internet, that's just phone.
Okay, what are we, I thought there was something that was gonna give us more flexibility, we'd be able to plug in new phones or take a
Yeah.
phone out of the jail
Yeah,
and
that's
take
what-
it
that's
down
what
to the
we're
new
talking
jail.
about. We're talking about cameras.
Okay,
Camera.
this isn't even dealing with that.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something that would be a matter of working through, your vendor that's dealing with all the jail stuff, and then I can talk to the camera guys that are handling our current system to see,
It's all gonna
If the
have to
bandwidth
be
is there.
monitored out at the jail.
yeah. So I
Okay,
mean,
that's the whole,
if, the problem I'm running into is bandwidth. If I were to stream every camera downtown right now, to like my house in Kansas for some reason, it would be crummy, depending on the pipe. So we will have a dedicated connection, as I understand it, currently between downtown and out here through ICN. And that's cool, their connections are solid, but if it's, it depends on how they set it up. If we have one day, it's like what we have now from, what we're doing right now, we're going across the dedicated lines that we have in the ground from
Right.
the jail to the courthouse, from the courthouse to the
Right.
annex. Those are ours.
Mhm.
100% of that bandwidth is dedicated to cameras.
Right.
That's fine. The problem with moving the jail out here and monitoring everything out at the jail is that then suddenly you're going across the internet connection. We don't own that. So that's gonna bounce potentially to Chicago and back. So you're dumping all of that data constantly across that line. And you may run into limitations.
isn't the new fiber that's
That's what I
gonna be
was-
run from downtown to the new jail, isn't that
It's not
cable?
ours.
It's not our-
And I have no idea how they're gonna route that. If they decide to route it where they come across the fields to connect to the jail and then they leave that whatever line they have already running into town, I don't know how that's routed. So I can't guarantee the quality of the connection when we're shoving that
So
much data
that's-
across it.
The Century Network is gonna
Yes.
own that.
Yes. We don't manage it, we don't own it, so I
But
can't really speak to the stability when we start feeding that kind of data across it.
Guess I'm not following. I thought we put this line in, right? The Century,
No, it's not ours. Illinois
They're gonna
Century
put
is
it
owned
in.
by the
they're
state.
gonna put it in.
Yeah, they'll put it in, but the thing is, the way they route it, it may go through, there's inevitably gonna be a switch somewhere, and they may have an issue with us cramming all of that data across their network.
You're gonna have, whatever your speed rate, 50 megs, you're gonna have 50 megs
And
worth of data you can transmit for yourself, so,
Right. And 113 cameras will decimate that.
so it's gonna cut all your.
So-
your
can
50
you have it where it rotates? In other words, several of them,
It doesn't matter, because there's gonna be a machine sitting at the jail that's literally monitoring every channel that you put out there. So it's still gonna be pulling the stream whether you're visually seeing it or not. So that, like I said, that is an issue to discuss with, whether we would want to upgrade camera systems, or we wanna switch systems, or if there's some other solution, or if there's a central monitoring point that we can put downtown to just dedicate somebody to monitoring, or however you would wanna deal with it, but that's one piece of what I've been worrying about with the data transfer, of moving all the assets from the current location to out here. That's why I've decided to try and work out keeping the downtown stuff downtown.
right, it would go
And
into the
it
new
just
building.
makes sense, because we own that connection from the annex to the courthouse. We can feed what we want across that.
But that doesn't fix your problem, you still have somebody sitting at that office
Yeah.
24/7 looking at their.
Well, I'm talking about the actual functionality of like Augie's office or the circuit clerk's office, or whatever, anybody who has a server hosted at the jail currently. I've gotta figure out how to break those resources up, so. It's a lot of fun.
Sounds like you guys need to talk to Core about how to monitor the cameras, what's the most effective way.
I assume they're probably gonna be the ones putting bids out for subcontractors to do cameras.
Right, and what
Okay.
they're doing now is picking what systems, or will be picking what
Okay.
systems work best for our needs.
So I guess
And
the
then
question is,
pricing them to see whether we can afford them.
right, if you could have them get a hold of me, I could talk to them and try and interface with them with regards to what we're currently using,
Well,
and see if any of that makes any
he
sense.
can do that.
Okay.
You both should be involved with that.
Okay,
So we're running our own trunk from down to the new building, correct?
And we
and we will own it.
So it,
We can do whatever.
so
we
it's
want.
is it cost prohibitive to run our own line from there out to here?
A little bit, yeah.
Little, okay, well, I mean, we're putting that one in.
Okay, to me, as a private person, yes, that's a lot of money. For the long-term stability of a business slash government entity, maybe not, I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's my question. Well,
But
I'm
it's gonna
curious to what
be
that
a
would run.
very large bill to get it from downtown to out here.
Probably 6 figures,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
at least. It'd be in 6 figures, I'm pretty sure.
between material, labor, and getting all the permits and everything, it's gonna be crazy.
With a lot of streets and everything to cut across.
Well, we need to start having some discussion on this,
Right.
because it's gonna take a while to figure it all out. And-
Yeah, and that's what I'm asking you two to
Okay.
start the discussions
Right.
with Core.
Yeah, camera management, maintenance, monitoring.
Well, and then the radio systems too, you know, we've talked about that, what we can use, what we currently have, and what we're gonna maybe have to have.
I've already asked them to
Long-term,
start checking
Yeah,
into that.
Right.
I'm gonna dig into that.
Because it may be.
Because
that
if we're bouncing from where the new jail's gonna be to WPRS, I mean, it's line of
Right.
sight, should be fairly easy to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't know that it'll require a, 150-foot mast. It may be just, like an old TV aerial thing. I don't know, but I need to talk to the radio guys about that, so.
And we need to talk to the, who knows how long they're gonna have that. You know, is that a long-term thing that we could count on that tower for us to use? I don't even know who owns it.
What, WPRS is tower,
Yeah.
big one? Yeah, I have no idea.
They broadcast the station, one
It's
of the stations.
It's
I turned on.
WIBQ now, so, as I understand it, so.
Well, we need to have a discussion with them.
That's what I
Yeah.
asked, we
Yeah.
talked about that last week,
So,
Yep,
because that's important.
lots of moving parts.
okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay. Back to putting out fires.
Or start new ones,
Or maybe, yeah.
but it's better to deal with it now. Adam?
Yes. Well, you guys have the entire year numbers in front of you. So total 911 calls for the year, we ended up with 2226, averages out about 6 a day. When you factor in our transfers and all the other calls listed there, we actually average out closer to 10 a day for a total of almost 3,200 calls for the year, between 911 transfers and so on. That doesn't include the MIH RPM, our mobile integrated health remote patient monitoring, since we do have a separate designated nurse slash paramedic that takes care of those. I didn't factor those into the total number, but overall, a pretty busy year. A little higher than last year, but pretty much on par. The average time,
Adam, where's that total set?
Yeah, I don't see a total.
their totals aren't on your paper, I just said,
So
I
what's the total
the total for the year,
calls?
911s were 2226.
And with the other?
With everything else, the total is right about 3,200. So if you look at our emergent transfers, the total there was 328. Our non-emergent total was 316. I apologize that would only let me print so much on page and it wouldn't let me add another column and talk that about. So, like I said, overall for the year, our average time, our dispatch to in or out was 0.89 minutes. Our in or out to arrive was 5.64. Our scene time is 16.31. Our scene to destination is 12.4. The transfer patient care is 4.65, and the median back in service is 25.51. Now, I did give you guys a second sheet of paper this time. Lisa asked last meeting about some of the times and what those meant, and some of our quality metrics. So per our contract, we have to be en route from time of dispatch in under 2 minutes. My personal goal is to have those guys en route in under 1, and we actually did meet that this year, so pretty happy with that. Our en route to arrive, the goal is under 10, but obviously that's dependent on where we're going. There's some places in the county it could take us significantly longer to get there. Another thing you guys may see coming up is there's a lot of new studies out there about the use of lights and siren. They're saying the use of lights and siren really doesn't cut that much time off, and it can cause some more safety concerns. So it is up to the provider whether they do or do not run lights and siren. Depending on the nature of the call, they may not run lights and sirens to a call. Doesn't mean it's not an emergency, it's just the risk outweighs the benefit. Scene time, the goal on any scene is under 20 minutes, but again, that is gonna be dependent on the type of call. Some calls, you're gonna see us spend a significant amount of time on scene, maybe stabilizing that patient, doing things that are easier to do on scene that in the back of a moving vehicle. Some of those, we're gonna scoop them up and go as quick as we can, such as those, we call them STEMIs, heart attack calls where they need to get to a cath lab in a timely manner. Scene to destination, there's no real goal time, it kind of depending on where we're going. I look at those and see if there's any outliers of maybe why it took them so long to get there, but I kind of just keep an eye on that individually. Transfer of patient care, again, dependent on the receiving facility. Paris is usually pretty good about getting us right in, but some of these bigger hospitals, with the surges they're seeing, sometimes they call it hall time, or you may be just holding on to your patient for a significant amount of time in the hall waiting on bed. We've only run into that a couple times luckily, but that is a potential. Then our back in service time, my goal is under 20 minutes from the time of drop off, but if they go to Carl, they're obviously not gonna get back in service in our district lines in 20 minutes. So average is about there, there's some outliers there as well, but overall, any questions on any of that?
Thank you.
No problem. Again, this year, I reported last year on successful first-time intubation rates. We ended the year at 93%, so I'm gonna give you guys a new metric this year. If you guys wanna see anything in particular, I'll be more than happy to report on that, but the report will look a little different come next report. Do you guys wanna keep seeing the destinations, or the second page, do you guys want me to keep printing that out, or
Yeah.
do I?
I do.
Okay, that's not a problem. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Thank you, Adam.
Not a problem.
Scotty, do you have anything today, or did you just here to
Nope, just here to sit
address the meeting up?
see if there was anything going on that I need to address the Department of Health or, the fire department.
I do wanna tell you that, Monica let us know that the new ordinance wasn't gonna be ready till February. Timing and getting it on the agenda and all that.
It was left off the agenda last month.
Right, so, but we will be getting that, so I wanted to make you aware of that.
You have a meeting next week? So you're going to discuss it next week?
Yes.
Okay. I guess moving along, Andy?
Is someone working on coming up with another name for Kathy?
Yes, yes. We've, I think Scotty's been involved with that, and so's Lisa.
Okay.
We've been texting back and forth.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of names and.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Andy,
Think anything big.
what about the doors and the locks on the main floor of the courthouse? Have we-
He's never gone back with me.
You mean, Michael?
Michael, you give me a contact number and I'll call him. But last time, he said he would get in touch with me,
I'll get that to you.
and he hadn't, so give me his direct number, and I'll call it in.
All right. Dan?
I stopped in last week, talked to Andrea. Dr. Davis has resigned as the administrator out there, so. Andrea, talked to Dr. Hansel from the Family Vet facility out east of town, so she's the new administrator of the animal shelter, so. And she has agreed to come to the shelter to do the shots and also draw blood if necessary, so that's going to work out really well. Also, Andrew said they transported 6 dogs to Minnesota. I kinda asked her how they did it, but they did it in relays. So, this place in Minnesota took 6 of our dogs, and just kinda made good out there, cause we were full up, so that helped a lot, so. Other than that, everything's going well, so, no complaints.
A question of Dan or the committee?
it was on Facebook about the dogs, so they wanted to go, somebody taking to Kentland, Indiana, then from there somewhere else, and from there to Minnesota, so she got.
So they adopted, that someone was gonna adopt them? Is that what it was?
Rescue,
Minnesota's a
Rescue,
long
Minnesota.
way.
yeah.
Like
She
that
had it all
tractor
worked
out
out, so it worked out very well.
703.
So, give her credit for that, they did a good job.
Thank you. Russ, do you have anything? Carl?
Talking about the doors, Augie, I think I asked Augie here a while back, that, the safety money, I'm not sure what it's called, that we get every year through the insurance.
Oh, yeah, the Illinois Public Risk.
You know roughly how much money we got in there?
I'm sorry, I don't
Like
know.
1,000, couple thousand?
Should be more than that.
I just, when I asked him about it here a while back, and I thought, well, you know, we're gonna have to, back the doors at the courthouse, so maybe we could use that money to help pay for them.
And you apply for that every year, don't you, Augie?
Yeah.
So,
But I assume it hadn't been used this year.
Yeah,
last
I
year.
just, I haven't
Yeah.
seen it for a long
But
time.
it's, we need to keep
Find
that
out.
in mind that, you know, when we get a figure on the costs for that, maybe we could use some of that money, or, you know. I don't have no idea what this,
oh,
It's in building and grounds.
You did like 5 to 7,000 a year.
Yeah. Sounds
Well, and that depends upon our workers' comp
Right.
claims history.
Not the wrong one. $6,000, roughly?
need to keep that in mind when the time comes to,
Use that for that.
unless there's something else that we need to do, but,
There's always something.
well, yeah.
Yeah, that's, we got a couple of 100-year-old building.
I'll check with Michael, see what he's coming up. I guess he's evidently, he's forgot or.
We've been burying him with
I know,
other
we've been
things, yes.
keeping him pretty busy.
We're under a time limit right now about getting the pre-app in so we can guarantee interest rates. Anything else, Carl?
Are you done?
Yeah,
The roof on Diamond Brothers, have you heard anything on that?
yes. We have filled out and contacted and been contacted by it's called TIPS, and they're setting it up. They're gonna be sending somebody here. It'll take several weeks, but they hope to have us all lined up
Okay.
so that they can start selecting
Right.
and bidding out certain parts, and they handle all of that.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And then Rowdy, we've already let Rowdy
Know
know,
that he needs to get with
John,
John.
to coordinate their activities between the roofs and the back walls.
I'm hoping that CIPS can take care of their stuff before we get.
Cameron?
Or Ameren, yeah.
To do the tree trimming.
Do the
Yeah,
tree
on
trimming.
the power lines
Because see,
back there.
at that point in time, Rowdy had mentioned that he would like to move that one junction that's right on the corner, move it in a little bit. I remember him talking, he goes, I'm not sure exactly how you do that, because we need to replace that section of the wall and let that sit, to kind of set up before you put that, hang another brace on that wall there, so. I know at the time he was a little unsure exactly how he would accomplish that, but. anyway,
Well,
I
and
did
that's
mention
something he would coordinate
with
with Ameren.
CIPS, or
With
Ameren, yeah.
So, yes. And then we're looking at somebody, Pam's helping with somebody that we might get a couple of bids from or talk to about the painting, filling holes and so forth on areas that would need to be repainted in the building. And of course, Ross is working on the communication system in there. and we'll proceed with that, so.
Did we get a quote on running that line? Have we got that yet?
And what we're trying to do is get on the list to get, to make sure it's in a timely fashion as soon as we can get that going. So,
No,
I just wanted to say Lud.
or you just, I saw you peek around her.
The,
I relinquished my time to Lisa.
Lisa,
Always needed.
which one do you wanna start with? Well, we're going on Thursday, what time are we
Okay,
leaving?
broadband. And I had forgotten to forward the email to Ross until
I
this
saw that.
morning. Okay, so, we were awarded the broadband, the opportunity to expand broadband and get involved and learn more about that. So our start out meeting is in Bloomington on Thursday, and Wyatt Williamson from Farm Bureau is gonna meet us there. Josh and Ross are gonna go with us. Starts at 10, ends at 2.
Starts at 10,
Yeah.
so we'll have to leave about 8:30 just to make sure we get there.
It's 117 miles
yeah,
down on weather.
And
You're
then
kinda
maybe we
old.
oughta leave at 8, just to
Yeah,
make sure,
that'd be fine.
okay?
So I do know now that, well, we have a weekly Zoom call, and it is 2 hours on Thursday mornings. The first hour is training, the second hour is working on our plan. We will, and again, I don't know a lot of details yet, but we will be at some point entertaining bids, getting information regarding different vendors that might want to participate or bid on providing services. He did say that in some counties, they have seen that the rural electric co-ops take the lead on this long-term. And Angela Griffin is also gonna be on our committee. They say that we need a committee of at least 15 committed individuals, so I'm working on that. But I will know more after Thursday. So that's going, and it concludes the first part of May with a presentation to county board.
In each of the counties participating.
Yes, and there are 5 or 6 counties. Interestingly, it includes McLean, because they're apparently, if you're not in the cities in McLean, you're just as out of luck as everybody else. So, you know, you don't think of McLean as being a rural area, but there are rural areas in McLean. So, and we are spread throughout, the counties are spread throughout the state that are participating.
When they say bidding, does that mean, of course, we don't know yet, is the soybean association providing the money for these bids?
I think,
Where is the money coming from?
I don't know. It seems rather mysterious at this point.
Okay, guess we'll have to, when we get there, we'll know.
I said, I really don't know what we just signed up for, and I don't know that we have to
We
finish it.
haven't committed for
We
it.
haven't really committed anything.
doesn't cost anything,
Doesn't cost anything to go to the meeting. But it was an opportunity, we didn't think we could pass up at this point.
Where's the meeting, what, in Bloomington at?
Soybean Association building, and I don't know where that is, but it's
I don't
new and
either.
beautiful, so they say.
You got Google? No
Yeah.
problem.
We can
Yeah,
plug it
right.
into the truck.
Yeah.
I think
I got
he's, I
Google.
think Josh is gonna drive it.
Okay,
That's a 4-door, so.
yeah.
What about, do you wanna bring us up to date on solar/wind?
Yeah, so, you might have seen this morning, thank you for sharing that, Augie, that, the bill passed out of the Senate, 33-17,
Yes.
for there to be state guidelines and overriding anything from a county on an ordinance for both solar and wind. And
Nice.
that's not a surprise. I have been in communication with Adam Niemerg, our state rep. Basically, it makes it very, very attractive for wind companies and solar. Solar wasn't really as much of a big deal, but like for solar, 150 feet from a building, and ours is 500. And on wind, it's 2.1 times tip height for a community, and it's at non-participating at the same. So if your average wind turbine height is 600, then it gets them in 1,200. And that is even less than, I believe, Vermilion County, Illinois, who is about the flimsiest that I
Yeah, they're
know
at
of.
1,300.
Looks like
Yeah.
the government is really behind the wind people.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
totally.
so what we did.
3,250,
Means nothing.
we'll have to change it.
We'll
the
have to
state.
change everything, and it also limits, it also states that you cannot have fees any higher than what other counties of your similar size. So basically, there's just really not.
What's the county north of us, Champaign, had an article
Oh,
about
well, I will
county
tell you,
that's,
this is interesting. So this is citing reform essential to Climate and Equitable Job Act success. This was something that Augie had also passed on to us. So this is from the Job Acts folks. The House bill proponents are Advanced Energy Economy, Climate Jobs Illinois, Illinois AFL-CIO, Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition, Illinois Environmental Council, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers State Council, International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150, Laborers International Union, Midwest Region, and the Sierra Club. So the Sierra Club doesn't really care that it's gonna kill your eagle or your hawk. That's not a priority for them. And the counties that are deemed unfriendly, Boone, DeKalb, Grundy, Kankakee, Livingston, Iroquois, Ford, Champaign, Mason, Menard, Sangamon, Christian, DeWitt, Moultrie, and Edgar. So 15 counties, and it looks like that.
Yeah, Iroquois is the one that they're fighting it up here, I think.
Well, Iroquois has the strongest.
Right.
So anyway, so we made a list.
So, they took care of that, didn't they?
I did.
They haven't yet. The governor, well, it goes to the House today. Of course, they used a bill and stripped everything out of it and put this into it. So they bypassed a lot of the committee requirements and all the other things that are necessary to pass a bill. And, of course, it goes to the House. They've gotta have it passed by Wednesday, when the legislature stops. It has been said, the governor did say that he would never sign a bill like this.
Leave in by the first.
Well, I'm just telling you that they quoted him as saying, no, he would not support this. There needed to be more dialogue between the state and local governments. And this would prohibit that. So we'll see what he does.
Okay, does that mean then that the thing that the people who were here that obviously didn't do it because of the restrictions we put on it, can they come back around and
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So we're screwed. Because
Well, not
Pittsburgh's
yet.
gonna,
For Wednesday.
You mean the ones that wanted to come in here? Yeah, they can come back around, but sure.
I'll be back.
so
And
all that we did, and all what the good people had to say means that
Not all of it, but a
No.
lot of it.
now
It
you
didn't,
wait.
the bill does not, there were other things in our ordinance, like
Tiling.
tiling and fire
Federal
protection and
worker.
emergency services, and that can still stay in. It's the setbacks that.
It's
would-
what keeps them out that's important.
And I take it the effort for deactivation, decommissioning would still be appropriate.
Yes, and on that, I need to get back to Chastain because I didn't get any response when I had left a
really?
message. So, but, I need to get back to them because the solar folks, Svetlana from the solar folks, is, has a decommissioning proposal. And so I need to talk to an engineer on that one.
Okay.
So that is kind of in the back of my mind that I need to.
It's been a rough few days. The House is expected to pass it, but now whether the governor will sign it or not.
Yes, I know.
We sure wasted a lot of time on that.
I don't know that it's a waste,
No.
because it made it clear that not all counties did favor the setbacks that those that would benefit do. Our folks know that we listened, and there's some value in that.
You're missing my point. You put a lot of time in this, and some of others did too. Me, all the kind of talk, everybody was on the right track, and now the government, in one fell swoop, 180 degrees, is gonna do just what they please, regardless of what we've said or done, or the people have said or done. It's all about money.
Oh, yeah.
So although we did the right thing, the people are happy with us, it's still gonna happen.
Maybe. There are other avenues you can
Maybe stuff, you know, it's gonna
restrict them on.
Yeah.
Emergency,
The
I can't
setback's the only
imagine it
thing that's
being enough
important.
money to make a difference to them. And again, if they
Then
don't do
then
it,
with
do
the
we have
road
enough
didn't
money to
come
make
in.
them do it?
And if we throw up a roadblock, or counties do, and find out with a novel way to approach it, what's to prevent the state from coming back in and just taking total control of it?
Nothing, you
totally
can't do a thing about it.
Limit the roads and what they come in on with the
right,
blades.
I'm thinking
There's
there's
no
other
need to
avenues.
ask questions when you've already got the answers.
Well, anyway, thought you ought to know, we both thought you ought to know.
Hmm.
Anything on the health department? Huh?
Many, many thanks to Scott for the time he has expended, getting to know the health board, or the health department members and what they do, and going out with them on not just, all different kinds of environmental services inspections. That is so greatly appreciated. And, Scott and Dr. Rico have had conversations, which has been good too. And I greatly appreciate that Dr. Rico was willing to be our board chair.
He's a good fellow.
Yes, yes.
So, yes, he is. And, I appreciate, he's also a very level-headed, even keel kind of guy. And that's great. We did approve to contract with, Bellwether for a year. And I think that's a very good thing. They'll be a great resource. Anything else, Scott?
I did go down last week and sat with Marissa and Mike. There was 12 food establishments that hadn't paid, so we kind of went through that stuff, called them. I called 2 of them myself before, it was much easier that way. And so we got those checks all in. Some of the ones were out of state facilities that had long-term care, and it was just because they didn't have any of the information on where it needed to go. So I called my office and got all the information on where they needed to send a bill and who to contact, and so we got them going. So
Has there been any discussion, I guess Mike is the one who would know most about individual people throughout the county that they can do that kind of stuff and the certification that they have to have? And was that ever mentioned?
now run that past me
You
again.
know, like, the woman that I'm married to, she bakes for everybody around. She
Yes.
has to be certified, pays a certain fee, goes through all kinds of tests, which has been this is on tape, isn't it?
Yes.
There've been some, was that ever discussed, ever?
That you know of.
Not that I know
Yeah,
of.
I wouldn't have thought so.
I know I was talking to my daughter the other day because she's trying to get the food service for out there at the skating rink. And they had her call Douglas County to be able to get.
Absolutely,
To go
that's
through
a fact
there.
too, they won't
So-
do it here.
So apparently they don't do that here, and I didn't know
I
that.
know.
They used to do that in conjunction with
My
the
wife was
extension
told,
office.
my wife was told they have to have 5 people to do that, that's not
Yeah.
true. One person can do it, Douglas County does it for one person all the time. So that's
She
not-
actually comes down here,
I don't know where they went, but I had to listen to that crap, so.
because I
Just
know
landed on you.
Mary Jo said that they were gonna do it, most of it was online with,
It's quite, it's pretty lengthy thing.
it must be.
I just was a little interested if that ever been brought up, because I'd like to bring it up, but I have told I can't do so.
Oh.
But I will.
That's when you do it after the meeting.
No, just got, it's, I'll explain it to you.
See if we can bring a
Okay.
few more along.
Yeah, get with me, I'll be glad to go talk to them
What
about
did you
it.
say? Did you say something smart, Alec?
Yes, I did, Phil.
I don't say very much, but I do have my
It was
opinions.
directed at Andy though, if you might.
Right,
That's
right, he was
You were
talking
just
about
looking at
it. He
him.
was talking about it.
No, it was
Yeah.
definitely for Andy.
You wait.
It
I'll get my 2 cents
threatened
in.
me.
Watching you all the time.
Anything else?
I don't believe so.
Scotty, did you get everything said before we went off the rails?
Yes, sir.
All right.
What do you mean rails? Were you referring to me,
No, I was
President?
referring to Andy and
Oh, I guess one other thing, Paycom, their first go live, assisting us or dealing with, payroll is this week. So Jeff has especially invested a lot of energy working with the treasurer's office and being, a moderator between the treasurer's office and Paycom on trying to get that facilitated.
Has everybody here gone through that, but done what they're supposed to, you know?
No.
At
not
one time, there was
everybody.
only a couple.
Not everybody.
They were sure happy to see
I
me.
think mine is on.
I wouldn't call me moderator, I think I was
I think I
the
got mine
end.
on, right?
Did it say 100%?
No,
I got it done.
Going up to,
What did you on me?
try to get it.
It wouldn't take any more information, you kept saying you didn't figure it out, you didn't fill things out, I'm like, I
There you
did
go,
figure it
treasurer's
out.
office.
Anyway,
Yeah, the
never
only
mind.
thing left on mine was the direct pay.
Yeah, I told
Yeah,
them that shit.
yeah.
Hopefully,
I don't want my bank account out there for
Anyway, it'll be interesting the next couple of days.
anything in it, but, sorry.
As long as you get paid, I don't care.
Anything else? Did you look at the agenda real quick?
I did.
You have anything? Number 8 might be of interest to you, in the bonds. It authorizes a levy, a backup levy, and every year we abate it, or hopefully we'll abate it, to cover the bonds. It's like a backstop for the bonds. That's on there. Let's see, the coronavirus expense, that has to do with everything from the assistant state's attorney to having a full-time public defender at all. You notice we've got a resignation from the health board, which Carl brought up earlier, and we have an application for a restaurant liquor license just south of Chrisman on Route 36 and Route 1. So those are the main things on the agenda. Don't forget, next meeting, we advertised for the courthouse roof, what, 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I forget, not this past Saturday, the Saturday before. And that will be due in, I think, on the 31st. The Corps will then review it and we'll take action, hopefully, on that at the February meeting. So that's where we are on that, just to review things. Anything else? Any questions? Okay. Do we need to have a special, go ahead, please.
There's some kind of training we have to do for board members. Remember, we had to go through something,
Open
have a
meetings.
Open
certificate
meetings.
on training.
Hope it's not potty trained.
Do we have to do that again?
Augie, how often do we have to do that, FOIA or,
My understanding is once, the Open Meetings Act.
okay, so,
Just
Have we ever done that
again.
before?
Yeah, we had to do it one
We
time.
did?
Yeah, you didn't do it, but.
we should all have certificates on file in Augie's office.
Yeah,
I don't remember that at all.
If you get a chance to review it, just to make sure we're all covered.
yeah, I just wanted.
If you would, please, Augie.
And it changed with COVID. The information is different than it was
Yeah.
prior, so if y'all have time, it wouldn't be a bad thing to
It
do
was
it
on the
again.
computer, I think, that thing you could
Right.
look at or something.
Before we
Augie
adjourn,
put it on.
Augie, do you have anything?
No.
Maybe
Nothing?
that's what it was, a lot of computer.
Motion to adjourn? Andy moves, Russ seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
We have a memo meeting.
We are adjourned.
Yes, meeting for $50.